Hi everyone, welcome back to the Divine Feminine Energy channel. My name is Lynn, and today we're going to be talking about the solar eclipse in Aries, which is going to be a portal for absolute rebirth, where we're asked to walk through the fire and come back completely reborn. March in general has been all about change, all about really letting go of the versions of us that don't serve us anymore, kind of just going through this massive rebirth cycle. But the solar eclipse in Aries is really going to be adding even more fuel to the fire. So on the 29th of March at 8 degrees, there is a partial solar eclipse in Aries. So let's talk about what that means. What do you need to do? What can you expect? And all the good things regarding this. So a solar eclipse is like a new moon on steroids. It is really bringing up a huge portal for change. But this one in particular is even bringing more newness. And that's because Aries is the first of a zodiac sign. You know, it's the first of a cycle. So literally us entering Aries season, us entering anything Aries means there is a new cycle starting. And now we have a solar eclipse, which is newness, and then in Aries, which is newness. And this is the first new or full moon transit, and in this case, an eclipse happening after the spring equinox. So we just had the spring equinox, and that's another cycle of rebirth. You know, in spring, things come to life, things are being reborn again. So if you look at the astrology of this particular eclipse, it's just screaming newness times 100. And that is super exciting because it means we're really stepping into a new era. So let's talk a little bit more about what this particular solar eclipse in the sign of Aries brings. Okay, so Aries is the initiator, it's the fighter, it's the warrior spirit. It is that trailblazing, fiery, independent, courageous, bold version of us that wants to awaken with this particular eclipse. So in my Patreon, we've also been doing the warrior woman era, and we're working with dark goddesses such as Lilith and to really awaken this wild woman energy within us. And in this particular eclipse, that's going to be a huge emphasis for us over the coming years. So whatever version of us that we felt like we've kind of kept trapped, or that we feel like we haven't been able to fully expose just yet, we try and keep it hidden, we try to keep that fire down a little bit. That version of us is starting to awaken a lot more in the coming 18 months, but it's kind of the starting point is happening now with this particular eclipse in Aries. So us becoming more of a leader, us becoming more of our inner wild woman, men as well, of course, if you're watching. It's kind of this Martian energy. It's like, where do we need to move forward? Where do we need to ignite our passion, our fuel for life again, without kind of holding ourselves back, without trying to play it small. And I'm really excited for that particular energy to get reborn because, like I said, on the Patreon, we're working with this, but I've also been doing readings on this on the Patreon. And it's really giving this energy of like those versions of ourselves that we felt like maybe that's not me, or maybe I shouldn't step into that, or maybe I'm not ready for that. It's kind of like the eclipses are helping us and pushing us into those versions of ourselves. So eclipses are like divine checkpoints. Eclipses are really kind of more so in control of us then we are in control of the energies, you know? And eclipses in general is where faded endings or faded beginnings can really start to happen. Eclipses kind of shake the foundation that we used to have. So they really can bring kind of these tower moments, right? Where everything is shaken up, but they're not doing so to defeat us or to kind of bring us back to a version of us that we don't want to be in anymore. It's the opposite. They shake our foundation because they kind of allow us to get into the energy of alignment with our more higher self, with where we really need to go. During an eclipse, you should pay attention to the things that are falling away and the things that are entering your life a little extra, because that could mean it's really divine guidance right now. It's really meant to happen like this. You are really being pulled out of who you were, or even a little bit of who you are, and you're being pulled into the version of yourself that you're becoming. And that's what eclipses tend to do. And that can feel very intense, right? That can mean during eclipses, some people go through breakups, or things aren't working in their careers anymore, or they feel like they have to move towns. Like, these big things can happen during eclipses because you're really meant to step into that newer version of yourself. So let's talk a little bit more about like the transits and the things that this particular eclipse is touching on an astrological level. So the eclipse will be actually forming two very positive aspects. It's going to be forming two sextiles. And sextiles are aspects that kind of bring harmony, that bring kind of like they support each other. The two planets work well with each other. They're harmonious, it brings a good vibe. So we have the moon is going to be sextiling Jupiter in Gemini. And Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of philosophy, of luck, of just in general kind of bringing more to us, so to say. And in Gemini, this could mean that what is really expanding for us alongside with this eclipse is our thought processes. We might be getting some good insights. We might be kind of, yeah, struck with some mental clarity here and there as well because of Jupiter in Gemini, expanding our mind with insights or even with learning upon certain things. Maybe you'll feel really guided throughout this eclipse to study upon something new, important conversations, important insights coming to you. And the other sextile that it's making is to Pluto. And Pluto is the underworld, right? So we have an eclipse, which is already transformation. And then we have Pluto sextiling that, the planet of death and rebirth and all these kind of things that we have kept underneath coming out. So that is just going to be very powerful. It's like power on power, rebirth on rebirth. And I feel like this will really bring like a positive aspect to our rebirth, and it will kind of bring maybe a bit of like our shadow coming to light as well, but it might be in a good way. It might be like, yes, you know, I need to stop suppressing this. I need to stop laying this underneath the surface and step into this version of me. No shame, no guilt. Let's do it. So that's two aspects that it's making. And the third, which is arguably the most interesting one, is that this particular eclipse will be very closely linked to the planet Neptune. And Neptune will be in Pisces in its last degree, 29 degrees. So the day after, the 30th of March, Neptune will be moving into Aries, and that will bring up a whole new collective cycle. The last time that Neptune was in Aries was during like the Civil War, and I'm not trying to predict anything like that, but just to kind of give you a feel, like Neptune, this spiritual planet, when it's in Pisces, it's at home, it's safe, it's watery, it's intuitive, but then it moves into Aries, and Aries is not that passive, right? Aries is Mars. Aries is independence, conflict, chaos, movement. So there's going to be a whole new collective cycle when we step into that, and it's really going to change so much on a collective level. But right now, we're kind of at that 29 degrees, that last degree in Pisces with the eclipse. So any final things, like a final exam, a final test of your spiritual lessons, of what escapisms may have been part of your life, what illusions may have been part of your life, but it can also bring in very valuable spiritual insights, spiritual lessons. So even though this eclipse is in Aries, and we're going to get all these themes of Mars, of the warrior, of all that beautiful, beautiful energy, it's also going to be highly influenced by Pisces energy. So I would definitely advise you to look up where both Aries and Pisces are in your chart to get the most information on how to flow with this energy based on your own birth chart. So you should try and pull up your transit chart. If you don't know how to do it, I'll leave a little link down below to let you know how to do that. But you should become more aware of where the houses are that Pisces and Aries are in, because those areas of your life specifically are going the undergoing the most transformation for you. And I've linked a free PDF file for you guys down below where I give you guys a little overview of the eclipse through the houses and some shadow work prompts to do with that particular house that your eclipse will fall into. So you can look that up. I'll let you know how to look up your transit chart and all these cool things. So let's get back a little bit to why you should also look up Pisces in your chart. Because Neptune, that energy, is still in Pisces, that last degree, and it will heavily influence our eclipse in Aries. And the retrogrades are also next to Aries, so it's super close to Aries, but Venus is now in retrograde in Pisces, and Mercury will be retrograde in Pisces. So it's like the Pisces and Aries energy, they're both very conjunct to each other in this particular eclipse. And we also have those two retrogrades still happening. So those retrogrades are influencing our eclipse, meaning there will still be an energy where we have to kind of revisit, revise, reflect, flow. We kind of have to, as much as maybe part of us wants to barge forward and trailblaze into this new era, like the warrior of Aries, there is a part of us that kind of has to honor this Piscean energy of flow, of surrender at this time. So yeah, you should look up your transits so you know where this is happening in your chart and what area of your life is undergoing the most beautiful, complete rebirth with this particular eclipse in the coming 18 months. So lastly, I just want to give you guys some tips on what to do with an eclipse, what not to do with an eclipse, and how to kind of honor this energy the most. The best thing that you can do with an eclipse is kind of flow with it, observe it, and allow these new things or these old things to come up, whatever that might be for you. Because the eclipses are so prominent, it's maybe not the best time to do active manifestation, because when we're actively manifesting, we are kind of wanting to push the energy in this direction, right? Like, I want to manifest this type of job. I want to manifest this type of person. And the eclipses are kind of asking of us to flow with what it is that the eclipse is. are showing, that they are bringing in and out of our lives, rather than trying to kind of push it in whatever direction we want. So surrendering that control and just kind of taking note of everything that's happening, like what's happening in your dreams, what's happening in your life right now, what part of you feels like it needs to die for a newer version of that to be reborn, what parts of you have become outdated, what needs renewal. And during the eclipses you will be shown this intuitively, and in the PDF file I've made some shadow work prompts for you to work with that as well. So you can become more aware of what are these older versions of me and what are these newer versions of me that are trying to be reborn during this time. So the thing to do during eclipses, honestly, it is shadow work. It is kind of taking a little bit of extra attention to some of the things that have become outdated, that need renewal. That's without pushing it there, kind of becoming aware of it. And honestly, rest, recuperation, not pushing on anything right now. I've been trying to do a lot of work this week. It was not going that in that direction, and kind of just flowing and allowing these things to come up. That's all you really need to do with these eclipses, because if you're remaining intuitive right now, if you're not going to try to be too logical and push it from this need for control, the eclipses will show you exactly what you need to know when it comes to what to release and what to rebirth during this time. So relax, release, do some shadow work, and take some extra care of yourself, and allow yourself to flow with an energy of surrender instead of pushing it and pushing productivity or pushing forward motion right now, because we have all this Aries energy, we want to work, we want to do things, but we kind of need this eclipse to move us instead of we're trying to move this energy along. So, yeah, I'm excited, guys, and I would love to hear what your experiences are, what you feel like you're rebirthing during this time. Like I said, the PDF are available for you. If you want some more, we're working with this warrior energy on Patreon through readings, through exercises, and through goddess work. And lastly, I'm also available for personal coaching on seduction, Siren seduction, Venusian beauty coaching, and feminine energy coaching, as well as birth chart readings. So if you want to work with me a little bit more, that's where you can find me. Other than that, I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful transformational eclipse, and I'll meet you on the other side. Bye.